I'm so excited to talk about tether training and how this plays into the Power 3 series. Three things I feel, I know, I believe in that everybody should do with their dog. And these things don't necessarily have to start as an 8-week-old puppy, taking them home. At any time you bring a dog into your life and your family and your home, you can start these three things immediately. Well, we talk about the sit on the dog can start within 3 days of a dog coming into your home, whether a puppy or an older dog. And hand feeding can start, I typically say 2 to 3 days, letting them adjust. Tether training is the third thing we're going to talk about. So, and this does usually start a little bit later. Typically, you're not tethering a dog to you right away. However, I will say I do want to add a disclaimer. If you're bringing in a rescue dog, any kind of older dog that you don't know the history, or there is some fear, there is some hesitation, or vice versa, there's a lot of assertiveness, a lot of pushing boundaries, lack of training and respect, that this dog hasn't had, just depending on the temperament and personality of the dog, the tether training can begin immediately. I've brought in dogs older, and right away they were tethered right to me. I'm like, we're just going to start this now. We're not going to set up any naughty behaviors or habits in the house or with humans anymore. And I'm going to establish some trust and respect with this dog that is untrusting. So just depending where this dog comes into your life at, and the dog can determine when you start tether training. We're going to basically talk about having an 8-week-old puppy, but this works the same regardless. So what the heck is tether training? How do you do it? And why? So the power of tether training. So how you do it, you're literally tethering the dog to you. Like, it can't be more simple. Just like sit on the dog and hand feeding really don't require a lot of output time and energy from you, but what you get in return is huge. It's super, super impactful with building a relationship with your dog that we all desire and want. And your dog is much happier for it too, because they understand what's expected of them. And this is a very natural way to train. And so make sure, if you're watching this video first and or listening to this podcast first, and you have not read or saw hand feeding and sit on the dog, please go do those first, because I want you to incorporate those first with your dog regardless, before you jump into tether training. Again, the disclaimer was, if the dog is coming to you older and we have some behavioral issues. So this is what I use to do tether training. It's called a coupler. I use this for the sit on the dog as well. It's got the middle circle. A coupler is used for to put the leash on the middle circle, and then the two leashes connected to that is to walk two dogs. I use this because I wear jeans almost all the time, so I have a belt loop, and I just hook it to my belt loop. So it's connected to me, and the other one's connected to, you got it, the collar of the dog. Look at you guys go. That's right, two. One's connected to the human, one's connected to the dog. Now they've gotten really fancy, and they've made leashes. They initially made them for people that wanted to run with their dog, and the leash goes around your waist. You can do those too. You can do the ones around your waist. And so, of course, you've got it around your waist, and the leash is connected to the dog. You're tethered together. That's tether training, right? Like, there you go. Couldn't make it more simple for you. I will say, please don't tether a dog to a child, especially if the dog is in training. If the dog weighs more than the child and the dog can physically pull the child, please don't do that for obvious reasons. So there's my other disclaimer. I don't want any emails about how this is dangerous. It's not if done correctly. Use common sense, you guys. Use common sense. There you go. That's right. All right. How? Usually begin with your 8-week-old puppy around 12 to 16 weeks. So let's say you get your 8-week-old puppy, you're starting the sit on the dog and the hand feeding. So we already have that foundation laid. You've already established that focus on you through hand feeding and the sit on the dog activity. So they already have a healthy respect for the leash. They've already learned through sit on the dog that the release of pressure, the reward is to be next to you and not pull on the leash. Now, can you see this is now going to tie into when you start walking your dog outside of the house? We've already done all this foundational work. Dogs can only focus on one thing at a time. Where do we want that focus? On us. That's right. Not everywhere else, but we have to teach them that. We have to reward them for that behavior. So when they're tethered to you, which what I love is they can't be getting into mischief either, right? Like they can't be chewing on the couch, chasing the cat, nipping at your kids. They're tethered to you. Like this is such a beautiful thing for so many different reasons. And then when you transition from the sit on the dog, it's a very natural, beautiful progression of sit on the dog, essentially. Now we're going to start moving, right? Okay, so we've got, you've already been doing sit on the dog and hand feeding. I want you to be ready and prepared to teach this. I don't want you just to assume, and we forget. And so that's why I'm reminding you. I don't want you to assume that the dog is going to understand exactly what they're supposed to do when you get up and start walking around with the leash on. They're like, holy heck, they're moving now. We've been sitting. We've been focused on this long down stay. Like I was getting rewarded for that. Wait, what? Now I'm supposed to follow? Yes, you are. So you need to encourage and show them. So do not start tether training when you're actually having to get something accomplished like dinner or laundry or whatever, and you need to buzz around and do things. So make sure you're setting up, you're prepared and setting up time to literally teach and show them this is what we're going to do and this is the reward you're going to get. All right, so the reward, have your treats in your pocket or on a fanny pouch or fanny pack on your waist. Typically you have your dog on your left, and so you can have your treats on the right. So I've got my dog tethered to the left. I've got my treats on the right. Now I'm going to start rewarding and getting their focus and attention. That's the whole idea. So you say their name, they look at you, boom, yes, I give them a treat. I start walking, I tap my leg. Don't just start walking and pull them. I never want it to be negative for them to follow me. So when they're connected to me, I've got them connected to me, and we're ready to move, I'll tap my leg and say, let's go, like that, and letting them know we're going to move forward. I don't ever want, again, it to be negative to follow me, right? So, and if you need to, if they got their butt planted, they're like a superstar of sit on the dog. So they think this is wrong, I'm not supposed to move. Take the treat and put it in front of their nose and lure them. It's called luring. I'm going to lure them with a treat and start moving it. Don't give it to them, but move the treat forward in front of their nose so they start following you, and then make sure you're really praising. You've got to be a cheerleader when you're training. Yes, that's right. Come on. And then give them a treat and keep showing them, we're going to move. Come on, you stay right here next to me. So again, eye contact, I reward. Following me, I reward. Now, when I stop, because you're going to stop and you're going to go and you're going to turn right, you're going to turn left. You're going to show them how it works to work alongside a human, how we move, and that they get rewarded for staying right next to you. And we're going to work together. It's really like this beautiful dance to me. Like I love tether training. So I reward looking at me, sitting, let's go. I always tell them anytime that I stop for a significant time or they stop or they sit, always make sure you let them know we're going to go now. Don't ever, even if it's 2 years down the road, I always make sure I let them know, hey, it's time to go. You know, it's basically like, thank you for waiting quietly, but let's keep moving now. Let's move forward. So, and I reward that. Even them getting up to follow me, I reward. I say yes. So when I say, let's go, and they get up and start following me, treat, boom, yes. And we keep moving and we make it fun. So I'm rewarding all of that. If they pull and get distracted and their nose gets in the way or something distracts them, I stop. Right? So that's the natural consequence. I'm going to stop when you pull on the leash, and I'm going to wait for you to come back to me. Now, am I going to scold them when they come back to me? No. Am I going to scold them when they pull the leash tight? No, I'm just going to stand there. I'm going to wait for them to figure it out. I'm not going to say a word. I want them to figure it out on their own. They're much more confident. The workability is higher and the relationship is better than me constantly correcting, right? So I'm just going to wait. let them do their thing, smell what they got to smell. And eventually they'll be like, hey, wait, what are you doing, human? I'm like, I'm waiting for you. I'm so glad you asked. They come back to me and guess what they get? I give them a reward for coming back to me. And then I say, let's go. And then we're going to move again. And we're just reinforcing this focus on me, stay next to me, and we can move forward kind of thing. What I love about tether training, though, is when you do stop, they should, I don't tell them to sit. I never tell them to sit. I want them just to, they can, if it's more comfortable for them to stand, if it's more comfortable for them to sit, they can. But what I will do is I'll name it and I'll reward it. So if they're not super fine tuned, or even if they are, if they know sit, down, come, stay, I'll still initially name it and reward it when they do it, when they're on the leash tethered to me. So if I stop and I pretend like I'm washing dishes and they sit, I'm like, sit, yes. I name it and I reward it. I go back to washing dishes. And then they lay down, down, yes. I say it right as they do it. Because remember, I'm not really focused on washing dishes. I'm not really focused on trying to accomplish something, because I need to teach them all of this first. And then I can actually start doing things while they're tethered to me. When I talk so much about meeting the dog's innate needs in order, number one is rules, boundaries, limitations. That's exactly what we're doing with tether training. Mental and physical exercise. That's exactly what we're doing with tether training. And number three, love and affection. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing with tether training. All three things I'm meeting through tether training. So keep that in mind, though. You have to be incorporating it correctly. It has to be done with purpose. It has to be done with meaning. It has to be done with an end goal. My end goal is that they will focus on me naturally. Dogs can only focus on one thing. So when I ask them later to go out into a more unpredictable environment and behave on the leash and be non-reactive and be neutral and be focused on me, not barking at other dogs, not trying to chase bikes, not upset by anything, because they're like, oh, we've been doing this forever. Like, I'm an old pro. I know exactly how this works. That it will create this beautiful focus on me and create a happy, balanced, neutral dog. It will also create respect and understanding between the two of you and what a leash means. Too often, a leash just means craziness, out of controlness, above threshold, barking, anxiety, excitement, and that's the exact opposite thing I want a leash to mean. A leash can be such a powerful tool to build a relationship with your dog. I'm going to say it one more time. A leash can be such a powerful tool to build a relationship with your dog. It means working together. It means positive. It means focus and self-control. And they feel safe and understood and respected. And that is a beautiful thing. A leash should connect you, not divide you. It shouldn't be frustration. It shouldn't be exasperation. It shouldn't be pulling and tugging. It should be this beautiful symbiotic relationship where you move together as one. And that is the end goal. I always feel like it's this beautiful, innate dance without saying a word. And that takes a while. It can take some time where you start to build a relationship of reading body cues. And it's not constant tension and anxiety and frustration. Can you see the difference of what a leash means to so many people and what it really should mean, and how that can really impact the relationship with your dog? A leash can be a very, very powerful tool to have that relationship with your dog. So what it looks like now, or if you want to work your dog as a therapy dog, or even if it's a service dog, or even, dang it, you just want a really well-behaved dog that not only respects the leash, but you're working together. I can't stress that enough. It's not about, again, tugging and pulling and fighting and who's in control and who's not, and all this excitement and angst and whatever's going on. I mean, I see so many people trying to walk their dog on the leash, and it's sad. And then you see other people, and it's just this beautiful fluid movement together, both of you, and it's such a beautiful thing. So what you will get if you spend the time to do it correctly and you focus on rules, boundaries, limitations, if you focus on the focus is on me, if you're giving a treat catching all the good things they do. Remember, looking at you, staying next to you, heel, use the word heel, and reward. Like if that nose is right on my leg, or I'll even take the treat and put it right on my leg where I want their nose to be as I'm walking, right? So I'm walking and they got their leash right here. I'll put the treat right where I want their nose to be, which is right at my left thigh, and they get the treat for having their nose there. And then what do I say? I name it heel. I reward it. They get the treat. So we're focused on healing as well. And then following, let's go, treat. They sit, I name it, I reward it. If they're sitting, remember, don't just start pulling on the leash. Don't be them. Have some respect and say, let's go. And I just tap my leg and I'm like, we're moving, let's go. Come on. And then I'll reward that. So there's lots of reward. Make it short and fun initially. And then the longer the older they are and the more you practice it, the longer they can be on the leash. Do not forget the 4 Ds in training, the 3 Ds in training. I don't know where the 4 Ds came from. I'm thinking, I guess, 4E. The 3 Ds in training: distance, duration, distraction. Okay, distance does not come into play here because you're not creating a distance between you and your dog. Duration and distraction do. How long they're tethered to you, how long you're doing leash work. Start short and fun, always end on a positive note. So even if the puppy pulled on me, but I know they're getting toward the end of their training session, like their focus and self-control, I'm losing it. Like little puppies, like 5-minute session is enough, like literally 5 minutes. So when I know we're getting close to that, I never want to end a training session negatively where they failed, right? So if they pull on me, I'm going to wait. And when they come, I'm not going to stop the session with them pulling on me and be like, oh, fine, they're not paying attention, like we're done. No, you have to hang in there and have them. You have to have them accomplish something they need to do. Name it, reward it, praise them before you can complete that lesson. It's very, very important to always end it on your terms. It's positive and they accomplish something you ask them to do. So I'll wait till let's say they're pulling on the leash. Like, I'm frustrated, I'm done. It wasn't a great training session. They're frustrated, they're done. I'm in it to win it, you guys. So I got to muster up some cheerleader excitement and get them back, wait for them to come back to me, and then praise the holy living heck out of them, give them a treat, take the leash off, you're free, or go play, or whatever command. I also give them a command letting them know we're done with the leash, like you're done with that work. And then we get love. I give love and affection because I'm meeting their needs in order. Rules, boundaries, limitations. You're on the tether. You will stay next to me. You will focus on me. Mental and physical stimulation, I'm doing both. We're moving and requiring a lot of mental focus, right? They need to stay next to me. They're trying to figure out the leash. They're trying to figure out what they need to do to be rewarded. And then love and affection when we're done accomplishing that training session with the leash. So always end it short and fun. So that then the dog is excited next time you get the leash out and they know that it's always positive. And even if they don't do it perfectly or don't do it, like I just ignore that at first. I'm not correcting at all during this. There's nothing negative with being tethered to me ever. I don't pull on the leash for them. And if they do pull for me, I just stop and I wait. When they come back to me, I reward. So there's nothing ever negative associated initially with the leash or tether training at all. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Again, I cannot stress on the Power 3 series, the sit on the dog, the hand feeding, and the tether training. These 3 things all really go together. It's very meaningful and purposeful training and building a relationship with your dog that so many people don't have and wish they did. And so, of course, that is our goal here, is to help you build that relationship of correct communication, meeting their needs in order, and having this dog that's neutral, balanced, and happy. And that is truly a gift you can give your dog so that you can take them anywhere and you can increase the distraction of other dogs, of playgrounds, of loud noises, of busy streets, of cars, and they are completely neutral, focused on you, like like I trust my human, like there's nothing for me to stress about, and their focus is on you, and that is a beautiful thing. Does anybody have any questions about tether training that I did not cover? I'm going to read a few comments. Cassie, Jeanette is 1000% why my litter of 13 was born alive and thrived, 2 born not breathing and revived. Cassie, I'm so thankful Badass breeder techniques saved their life. Good. I'm so glad. Thanking you. Thank you for trusting me truly with your puppies in your program. It really does mean a lot to me. I know it's a big ask to let somebody in and trust their program, and there's lives at stake, as you know. So good job though. You did it. You saved two. Tom says, catch them doing good and end on a good note. That's right. Always end a training session positively so that they want to go back into training again, and the respect for you continues and remains. Their trust in you continues and remains. And look, ultimately, we all want to work for somebody and be in a relationship with somebody that's positive, that's fair, that's consistent, and that we know what to expect. And that's the kind of human you need to be for your dog. Heather says, Tether training is amazing for keeping your puppy in sight and out of trouble. Yeah, I mean, it is. They can't be having, if you start to regress too, like a lot of people they'll start to hit their teenage stage around 6, 7, 8 months old, and everybody's like, all their training is out the window. What's going on with this dog? Like, they haven't gotten into the toilet paper in months, and now they are again. Guess what, you guys? Make sure you go back to sit on the dog, hand feeding, tether training, tighten back up the reins. They're challenging you again. They're going through their teenage period, and you just need to refocus and get them back to working more and mental and physical stimulation. Step back and really take an honest look. Are you meeting their needs in order? Are they getting what they need? And sometimes they just need a little bit more firm of a human during that time, because they are literally challenging you to see what they can get away with. So you have to step up and be like, all right, I see you, I hear you. This is not going to fly here with me. So let's have a few conversations about what this is going to look like. Let's get you working. Let's get you feeling good about doing something positive, really. Kiana, the confidence building makes such a difference in your dog. Yeah, and tether training really does. And a lot of the confidence becomes with their human and in you. And so they can go out and be exposed to things maybe they never have. But all it takes is they just look at you, you look at them, and it's as simple, you're fine. And they're like, okay, I'm fine. Because you know what? They trust you. And that's a huge thing. I will say, I got my Hannah, the queen, started this business with. She came to me. She was almost 5 months old. So as many of you know, and if you don't, the first 16 weeks is really, really critical. And after that, a lot of that's remediation. Like, you really can't change who they are. But you can now manage and monitor their reaction and their emotional response to something, and really make sure that you're not creating bigger issues. Hannah came to me terrified of everything, terrified of people. She didn't come from a good breeder. She came from a puppy mill. And then she'd just been in a kennel, like she'd never been on stairs. She'd never been through a threshold, like a doorway. Glass door she walked right into, very untrusting of humans. And those of you that have met Hannah, you're probably thinking, wait, what? Jeanette, haven't you worked her as a therapy dog before? Yes, she was a therapy dog. So let me just tell you how powerful tether training is. So when I got her and she was just kind of terrified of everything, I'm like, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to enable you, because you're not going to be defined by your crappy start, because you have so much potential. That dog and I were tethered together for the next 4 months straight, almost. Very little breaks in between. Literally, we became one. And what it did was, why she can still be hesitant about things, but that trust and that bond that grew between the two of us, like, you would never ever know what she was like in the beginning. Like, if I wish I had video. I wish I had video of her initially and how she is now. I do know Hannah there are things she still doesn't like. And so what we have built together, and why she can trust me to take her out and do therapy dog work, is she knows without a doubt, I know what she's uncomfortable doing, and I would never ask her to do it. She also knows that if she's reached her threshold and she's done visiting, or she's uncomfortable with the type of visiting and touching and handling, that I absolutely will immediately remove her from that situation. So because of that, she will willingly and wholeheartedly trust me and she'll go with me. She'll go into places, but I do know Hannah does not like a lot of improper handling, like in a school. She doesn't like that kind of energy, and she doesn't like a lot of improper handling. Hannah likes things to be on her terms. So if she thinks she made the decision to go up and visit somebody, she's happy as can be. So Hannah likes things a little more predictable. So I do know with working her, I would choose very, very wisely where I would take her, so that without a doubt, I never broke that trust in her. Holly came to me at 2.5. She had only lived with her breeder. She had a very, very deep attachment with her breeder. In fact, when she came, she flew on a plane in a kennel, got the kennel home and opened it. And usually dogs come flying out. They're like, I'm free. And Holly just sunk in the back of the kennel. And I'm like, okay. So I could grab her collar and pull her out. I don't know that I want that to be our first interaction. So I called the breeder and I'm like, her name's Heather. I'm like, Heather, please talk to Holly. Holly was her name coming to me. Would you please talk to her? I need her to move out of this kennel on her own. I don't want my first interaction with her to be forceful. So Heather started talking to her and I started moving back, and Holly got up and she came out, and I put the leash on her, and I literally, it was like 9 o'clock at night, and we went for a run, because forward movement is incredibly powerful. If your dog is stuck in fear or uncertainty, think forward movement. We literally, here I am. I was not ready for a jog. I was not in good shape, but Holly and I, we sweated it out. I was dying. She was panting. We sweat out all of the stress, and this beautiful thing happened at 9 o'clock at night on a road in Las Vegas. We have been together since then. Like it just became this very beautiful relationship right then and there. She knew, she thought, okay, I trust you. You understood what I needed. And I also tethered her to me as well at 2.5. That dog didn't have a lot of life experience. She had never worked or had been in training or had been anywhere but the breeder's house and then on a plane in a kennel. And Holly became a dog that the trust built between us is so great that I literally can take her anywhere and ask her to do anything, and she does startle. Like she'll startle at everything. She's a startle, but her startle recovery is really, really fast, and all she needs is to look at me, and I'm like, we're fine. I don't even have to say anymore. I just give her the look, like I just stay steady, like we're fine. She's like, okay, and that's it. That is the end of the conversation. The only thing, and Holly has done things that I haven't been able to do with other dogs. She's rode on little trams that it's a great floor with music going. For Fox 5, Jason Feinberg's 50th birthday. He wanted a dog at his birthday party. So we did a pub crawl down on the strip in a trolley. There's God love Holly. She's like, all right, like whatever you say, Mom, like as long as you're here, Ma, like I'm good. She was one of the few dogs I could work in the coroner's office after the October 1st shooting. What I didn't realize taking a therapy team into Vegas was, I didn't, in the sound, it's uncomfortable even saying it, but I didn't realize, I didn't have the foresight to realize the smell that would be at the coroner's office from the people coming up to visit with the dogs that had been with the bodies there. And so it upset a lot of dogs, and a lot of dogs were just uncomfortable there. Not only the smell, but the energy from the people was so intense. And God love Holly. One look at me, said, we're in it, girl. And she did. She'd stay there. She'd stay there for hours, laying on people's laps. And like, she's just, the bond I have with her. The only thing Holly does not like, and she lets me know, and she knows without a doubt, that I will not make her visit with a person who has been smoking cigarettes. She does not like the smell of cigarettes. And so if we visit with kids, I know God love the poor kids that are in a home with someone that smokes or somebody that smokes. And Holly will look at me and I know that she needs a break. And so that's what we do. She knows without a doubt. I'll be like, Holly needs a break. We'll be back, and take her away from that situation. So I'm sharing firsthand my experiences with how powerful tether training is, forward movement is, and what it really, really does to build a relationship with your dog that truly you just wouldn't have otherwise. And you don't have to, they don't have to be a therapy dog, they don't have to be a service dog. This is about a true and innate connection with your dog that's beyond words. It's truly a shared feeling through the leash. It's truly a mirror of each other. It's truly understanding and relating to your dog in such a beautiful, impactful way. Like, I feel like the leash is an extension that connects us and not something that divides us. So there you have it. The power of tether training. If you haven't done it, start today. Start it now. If you haven't done it in a long time, do it again today. Create that connection. All relationships need constant work and practice. It's a choice. And so put that leash on your dog, spend some time tethered today, and enjoy your time with your dog. I'm Jeanette with 40 Kennels. We're not only healing hearts and changing lives through the power of a dog, but we are changing breeding from bad to badass, and I'm taking thousands of breeders along with me. Stay tuned, you guys. Coming up, we've got a giveaway in Alabama. I'll be taking you with me, and then shortly I come home from Alabama and I go to Springfield to speak at a breeders conference, teaching other breeders about the raising their puppies the empowered badass breeder way, meeting your puppy's needs in order, communicating with your puppy correctly, how all of these things really do change the dynamics in the relationship with puppies and humans. And of course, most importantly, giving your puppy a voice, honoring them, respecting them, and truly loving them as a dog and not a human. Let's not treat them like humans. Let's not diminish the power of a dog. Bye, you guys. Have a great weekend.